We are now live. We're good to go. All
Five,
right.
4, 3, 2, 1. Douche.
All of that was
Okay,
already was already live.
4, 3, 2, 1. But I did the timing, huh? It came up
Crazy
like a
timing.
second or yeah.
Crazy
You
timing.
know, if you've been around the business, you know. Anyway,
All right. Welcome everyone. Thanks for joining in. Sorry we are late. A little bit of technical difficulty, and that's what I'm going to say. It's definitely not my fault, not at all. I'm never to blame. You guys are mistaken. You guys are the one to blame. All right. So, today we're having a pretty interesting conversation. We're talking about religion, and I got Mike back because both of us have quite a bit of knowledge into religion itself. So, as I was doing some research, uh, actually these past few days, I've been finding out some pretty interesting things. So, what we'll do is we'll start off with kind of the history of religion. We're not going to be touching on a lot of different stuff because it's such a broad topic to talk about. But we will be talking about religion as it pertains to, kind of like as if we were talking about the evolution of humanity, more of a philosophical kind of conversation, and more of an academic sense. Okay, so of course, I, just as well as Mike, I'm sure, we have our own biases when it comes to religion, either for or against. So, be that as it may, however, we will also be, you know, telling the truth and discussing religion as it is doctrine wise. Well, we can talk about the historical context and all that stuff
well, we
too,
could
but
do we could do all encompassing. Like at the end of the day, it's just our interpretation of what religion serves for us in our
sure.
daily routines and how we feel.
Yeah, sure.
I mean,
That works.
that's for me what spiritually like being like connected means
Okay.
in a sense. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, for those of you guys who are maybe watching this later on or just joining in and may not know, I am not religious. I wouldn't say I'm atheist, but I'm definitely agnostic. Um, I have had my own experiences with the demonic. I've had quite a few experiences. Some of the most shocking experiences that I've actually had was an epiphany, and that was probably the most. There was a point in time in my military career where I thought for sure that I was getting into combat, and my heart was sinking through my ass cheeks. Okay, and that was probably the scariest I've ever been in my life until I think back when I was about 12 years old, and I just see this gigantic cloud head screaming at me. So that for sure is the scariest thing that I've ever been through, and I haven't told that story on the channel just yet. That will actually come in time in a separate video that I will talk about in my ghost stories series. So haven't made one in quite some time, but I will definitely pick that up at some point. But yes, I am agnostic. I'm not atheist. I've had a lot of experiences that would teach me that there is some kind of paranormal existence outside of our own, um, or there's some kind of existence outside of our own. Is what I meant to say, but definitely not atheist. So I've taken a look into the doctrine. I have studied both Christianity, Judaism, and Islam for quite some number of years. And then I have also taken a look into other religions as well. So I know quite a bit about the subject. What about you, Mike?
I'm just a student of life. I'm not gonna claim that I'm like a scholar or whatever. I'm just a man that wants to live a good, modest, and not carefree life,
Hmm.
but close to being cloud nine. So
Yeah.
I'm taking as much information as I can, apply what works, and continue on.
Right. Well, there's nothing wrong with being a student of life. Matter of fact, that's how you stay sharp. That's how you stay, I would say, um, in good health, right? Alive the longest. Because the longer you work your mind, the more things you learn. And knowledge is freedom, right? Freedom of the mind. And so you
Absolutely.
learn, if you have a hunger for knowledge, a thirst for knowledge, then what I've come to find out is that, um, well, you can come to make a life for yourself, right? Because I'm not just a YouTuber. I'm a musician. I'm a artisan. All kinds of different things, and there's all kinds of different ways that I could use that for myself. But through all the things that I have learned, there's all kinds of benefits that come with that help both physically and mentally as well. So absolutely,
Absolutely.
yeah,
I can't disagree with that. That's actually like very well said. You know?
yeah, yeah. All right, so I don't know about you, but as far as I understand it, the idea, right, of how religion began started some maybe potentially hundreds of thousands of years ago, but originally started with pastoral peoples, where different cultures would begin to create gods for different reasons. Basically, whatever culture uh, needed or benefited from, or whatever the reason thereof, which is the direct um, creation of a god, goddess, pantheon, whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
So all of the stuff that I've been finding is that was the cause for religion, right? Because you look, there are thousands of religions, right? You've got
Oh,
the
oh yeah.
Norse, you've got the Greek, the
Ancient
Roman,
Greeks.
yep. You've
Oh
got
yeah.
you've got Judaism, Christianity, and their several different sects. You've
Oh,
got Islam and their sects. You've got Buddhism and their sects. Same thing for Hindu, and you have all of these
but
different things.
Hindu, but Hinduism within it, there's thousands of other religions.
So there are four big denominations when it comes to Hinduism. But underneath that, they do have their own subcategories. So
Yeah.
that is true, because you have people that are worshiping uh Brahma, and
Mhm.
then what's the god of it's the guy in blue. I forget his name.
Is it the one that has a billion hands and it's in a circle that the people at CERN are dancing to?
I'm not sure, to be honest with you. But you have all kinds of different gods, and I can't remember exactly the name of them. But yeah, you have all kinds of different denominations.
Shiva?
Shiva, that's it. Yeah, Shiva.
I was right. Look, say CERN has a statue of the Hindu god Shiva in its form as Nataraja, right? The Lord of Cosmic Dance. Yeah,
Yeah.
sounds right.
Okay. Yeah.
And you know what CERN is, right?
Hmm.
CERN? Do you know what CERN is?
CERN.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So CERN, you know the particle accelerator in Europe?
Oh, CERNDA.
No, CERN.
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 Oh, no.
Yeah, it's the particle accelerator. Oh, is it? Yeah, it's in Europe. It's right here.
Hmm.
I think it does like the whole thing right here.
Really?
Yeah. So they break apart atoms to see like the smaller atom, the smaller composites of what an atom is like made out of.
Yeah.
And the people who were like doing the research and development were, you know, dancing to Shiva.
Really? What?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
Right? It's very interesting.
That is very interesting. Hmm.
That's why I'm surprised you didn't hear about this little predicament, because that opens another can of worms. Like, why would a bunch of scientists be like dancing to a Hindi god?
I mean, you have people that worship many gods.
I know.
You know.
It's just it's not the gods itself that I'm worried about. It's the use of worshiping it from
Yes.
people is what I'm
Yeah.
worried about. You know, it's just people in general that I'm worried about that have this power. Like, why are they? Not that there's anything wrong with it, but it's just like, what's their end goal? What's their agenda? That's what I'm more concerned about.
Yeah.
Not really religion itself.
Well, what I find very interesting is that is exactly why I bring up culture, right? And when we're talking about culture, we're talking about more something that's philosophical, right? Because at the end of the day, that's
Yeah.
exactly what religion is. It's philosophy, right? Philosophy is trying to understand uh, nature, understand life, right? From a more of a morality kind of perspective. And what's interesting to me is when religion is brought up, it's usually for two reasons, right? Create rules or to break them. To create rules by restricting or controlling society for the benefit of uh, one people group or another, or to break rules by through rebellion, through
And I noticed that a lot of religions like to make it very theatrical.
there are
So it
quite a
like
few, yeah.
catches so it catches the eye of everybody, you know, like, make sure you adhere by God's demands.
That's
You
true.
know?
That's true. There are
Right?
multiple religions that have done that. You've got the the Mormons, you've got the Norse, you
Yeah.
have especially the Greeks and Romans,
Yeah.
especially those. You have
They like to boast
Judaism,
about it.
Christianity. I would say the majority of religions
They talk
boast
into this
about it.
like authoritative like tone, you know?
Right.
I don't want to say holier than thou because that's kind of ironic, but
Well, it's
you know what I mean?
you're going to have that regardless of
I
whatever
know.
religion, right?
And
Because it's
that's
the
yeah,
human condition. Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah, very unfortunate, but
S-
it's just going to happen.
Very few of us could rise above that and like keep our like pride very,
Yeah.
you know, leveled.
Yeah. Pride is a uniquely human characteristic because pride is something that drives confidence, right?
Yeah.
Confidence is something that is uniquely masculine. It's why people either, you know,
Yeah.
make themselves or break themselves from pride, right? Um, look at Caesar, for example. You know,
Too much pride, like you
Caesar
create
became the
enemies.
dictator, and
Yeah.
then there was there was a warning that was given to Caesar about his own assassination, but he completely brushed it off.
Because I'm pretty sure in his mind he probably told, because he was a very good general too. Like he had his
Oh
own
yeah,
army and everything.
oh yeah, he
So
was.
like his pride took over and thought that no way they would be doing that in broad daylight to me.
Mm-hmm.
Get the fuck out of here. Get
Yeah,
out of here, Slex.
and he was already a
Et tu,
dictator for quite
Brute?
some time after this.
Well, I mean, like the Republic
Well,
was
I'm
like
sorry,
in
but
debt,
before this, not after this, but you know,
but like at the time, like the Republic was like it needed to be like reinforced. You know what I mean?
yeah.
With like a new set of rules, a new doctrine, a new order,
Well, it kind of
and
all
like
fell
rulers
apart
that will last
after his
longer.
assassination.
No, and then it became an empire from
Well,
a republic,
it was already an empire at that point because it was under a dictator.
not by name though. Not by name though.
Well, right, not by name, but it became an empire specifically because of its vastness. Right.
Oh yeah.
Rome was already a massive country by that point in time. Right.
Yeah. But it was
So
still considered a republic.
I believe Augustus took over after Julius, but there
Then
was
it was slowly turned into an empire,
right,
like officially, like
right,
yeah.
right. But the idea was to assassinate Caesar, and then all of the senators would come together, right, and then make essentially a government. But you know that didn't really happen because as
That backfired.
oh yeah, that backfired quite a bit. Almost every single one of those senators were tracked down and killed. So, but
Because
all right.
that's high treason.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
but yeah.
100%. But all right, okay. So just so we don't get too much off topic here, you could even say that in that point, right? Um,
Right.
there was some kind of mystical thing because even in ancient times, there was this weird fascination with fortune telling, right? And
Yeah.
um, there, there is this weird thing even today with people who are mediums or maybe future seers or just seers, right? I think that's what they're probably called today. But there's just weird things, and religion is very tied to that, right? So
Yes.
what I want to get into is pretty much the history, and then talk about whatever we talk about when it comes to religion, understanding more of what the human condition is when we're talking about religion. Because I've already set us up by talking about um, a deeper thing as far as society, right? We've already talked about needs of the tribe, right?
Yes.
And I want to eventually get deeper into that, but I want to go back to pastoral peoples, right? I remember
Mhm.
researching a while ago, and the first instances of religion were actually different tribes would carve out maybe paintings or statues into maybe caves or pillars. And what they would do is they would erect stones or wooden structures in um, in praise of their god, and and actually there's something to think about too is we were talking about boasting, and we were talking about theatricals earlier.
Uh-huh.
Well, if you look into the history of animal sacrifice or just sacrifice in general, right, especially with the especially with the Israelites back in the day, the Mayans back in the day,
Yeah.
um, and then also other Semitic cultures like the Amorites, the Hittites, they would all sacrifice just as well, right?
Hmm.
And so, what is it? Because I don't want to get too much into the philosophical morality kind of conversation until we get a decent understanding of the history of it. But
Yeah.
um, so it started off as okay. Well, the tribe needed rain, right? So then they started praying to a rain god, right, to bring rain. And so
Hmm.
when that would happen, they would also set up sacrifices. Hence why we talked about animal sacrifices. Some even human sacrifices, right?
Hmm.
I think it's a way of kind of control, right? Whereas we can't control the. Well, I mean, now we can essentially through our own government. But anyways, back
It
in
could
that
even be.
day, we couldn't really control the weather, so we needed something that would reassure us that something would happen. If it didn't, then there was a reason for it, right? Some way to
Right.
explain the world that we see around us, right? To explain the unexplainable or the unexplained. And so religion was the best way to do that.
Yeah.
So what's your understanding of how religion came about?
Well, it's essentially that. It's just the basic understanding of the universe around all of us and trying to make sense out of it with the language that we have.
Mm-hmm.
If the more developed the language that you're practicing, like talking, like you and I are doing right now, the more developed it is, then rest assured the ideas are going to come at full force and very in detailed as possible. So you could get into the you could get a deeper understanding into many different subjects as opposed to just, oh, there's a god that uh is responsible for all human emotion, like a not what's that Greek god, goddess of love.
Aphrodite's?
Yeah,
Aphrodite?
essentially. Yeah, so like she would be like the one, oh, you would pray to her to make sure that women could like be horny and fertile, you know what I mean? So,
Right.
and then you'll get Ares, and you pray to him so that your soldiers could come back home in one piece, right?
Mm-hmm.
So these gods are designated to, give faith to the masses into something so that they're all calmed down from the fucked up shit that we all have to do and participate in to keep civilization running. Because it takes a heavy toll on all of us for all of this shit to run at its capacity that it is right now, so
Mm-hmm.
you need like a form of like release, and religion is there to help you with that in any which way or form or flavor. You could pick whatever you want. I
That's
mean,
true.
but you know what Cat Williams said one time, all religions, the good ones, I'm not gonna say which ones are the good ones, but they all say subtly the same thing when you really analyze and deep dive into their teachings. You know,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
you could the fundamentals is take care of one another, be yourself, honest, uh, don't steal, don't kill. Well, don't murder. Killing is different. There's a distinction between the two.
Well, there are quite a few. Well, that's when we get into doctrine, right?
Yeah, that's where the state comes in and says, "Nah, religion. I need to put my say into it to make sure we all, fall in line."
Yeah.
But
Well, one thing that I've come to understand is that there is no separation between religion and state. Matter of fact, they've always been one and will always be one because we as humanity, we need morality to progress our own species, right? And therefore,
absolutely,
what do we base our own morality on? Oftentimes it is religion, right? We understand that we know, well, we understand that stealing is wrong, right? Murder is wrong.
over
great is
time.
wrong. You know, we
Over time,
well, right, yeah, but
you know.
as evolved as creatures as we become, we understand that's wrong. Why is that though? Well, because oftentimes we will point to, maybe the Bible or the Torah, which is pretty much the same thing, or we'll point to the Quran. We'll point to the um what's the Hindu Bible? I don't, or the scrolls. I don't know what the Hindu Bible is called.
It doesn't matter. They're all gonna say the same thing, but it's like we don't obviously like you don't have to point to any of those books to know why it's wrong if you could just, critically think for 2 seconds. You know?
But that's
The
where
number one the number one thing I could even point out right here, like without even using two of my brain cells, is you just created an enemy. Well, why would you want more?
right,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like life is already hard.
right. Well, that's where it becomes
I
objective,
digress.
right? Because different nations have different ways of doing things, right?
Now we're talking
So,
about nations, not just people.
well, culture again. It always comes back to culture, right?
Okay.
It's objective because every culture is different. Like we we I'm just gonna use this one. Over here in the States, women are the most free that they've ever been. Whereas in some countries, typically more Arabic countries, they're seen as property, essentially. Right.
Yeah.
So different cultures, they believe that's okay. They believe that's perfectly fine, but we disagree with that. We think that's immoral. And I would agree that it is immoral. Right.
But here's my thing. What do you mean by we?
Well, we as a civilized culture, right?
No culture is civilized, number one. Because a civilized culture truly would not go to wars. So, no.
It would
You
depend
can't.
on it would depend on the kind of war. Self defense is one thing.
Now it's even worse because like I respect a country going to actual war than playing war games. Yes.
Right.
I'm gonna bring my battalion over to the hill over there, and we're gonna watch it with crumpets and tea. Marvelous.
Marvelous.
Accentuating, rather.
Johnson, go ahead and pour me a spot of tea.
Yeah, that's feudalism war before Napoleon,
Right.
and then Napoleon showed them what real war looks like with
Well,
his new battle tactics. Yeah.
right, but
So
what drives a country to go to war? It's always culture. That's what it is. It's always based on culture.
culture, deeds, but yeah, but still, it's culture.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
everything
would
comes
agree.
back to culture because what is religion? It's culture. What is the way of life?
Yes.
Well, it's culture. Everything is
Yes.
culture, right? So you can look at um uh Christians when they forced Christianity, the conversion of Christianity onto the Jews. That's culture. And then when Islam invaded Jerusalem, right? In the 400 years before the 400 years of aggression against Christians before then, right? Culture.
Yeah.
Every religion has had its blunders, right? But when we're talking about wars, there is, because yes, religion was used in self defense, of course, right? For with the Crusades, but at the same time, it also depends on the kind of war that you fight. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for what purpose it is, because every person is going to respect a warring faction that's in the defensive.
Right. Right.
No one's going to accept like another, country or culture sieging someone else.
Right.
It's just a bad look, right? But
Right.
unfortunately, the stronger that survive.
Yeah.
So
Nature. Nature.
yeah, and when you look deep into humanity's past, you start to see that like every page turned is gallons of blood that's been drained by people like unwillingly for sacrifices yet again that we just talked about this before with religion, but like wars I could even also I could also say that it's like mass like a form of mass not not mass sudoku but like a mass sacrifice in a way, you know? And then it creates this mythical story that the new generations are going to adopt later, you know?
Right.
And that creates its own like ritual, its own holiday, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it
Because it
does.
has weight to it.
I look at the
Like you
feast
understand what
of.
I'm trying to say?
Yeah,
Like
yeah. No,
when
the
it
the the feast of Hanukkah is actually one of them, where
interesting.
the Israelites had survived. I believe it was an invasion of some kind. I can't remember if it was the Assyrian invasion or if it was. I want to say the Assyrian invasion.
Okay.
I want to say I could be wrong, but I do know that the feast of Hanukkah is in celebration of Israel surviving from some kind of attack.
I don't know how to spell Hanukkah.
Uh,
Oh, there you go. It did it for me. Uh,
let's see. Commemorate the miracle of the oil, such as potato pancakes. Uh, and it is
Hellenistic Syrian Greek kingdom
okay.
of
Okay.
The Seleucid Empire.
Oh, okay. Okay.
At the
So
time, that was
so
when
it
that.
wasn't the Assyrian. It was Syrian Greek. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, I was a little off there, but I do know that it was in celebration of something. But yes, there are different cultures that do stuff like that. Uh, create
Well, even
traditions
Americans
off
do
of
it
that.
too.
That's true. That's true. Um, Christians with Easter, with Christmas, right?
Yeah.
They do that. Then you also have
We have here in Canada Remembrance Day, November 11th.
oh yeah.
Yeah. On the 11th hour of the 11th day, in the 11th minute, that's when everything stopped. World War One over. And then when
Oh,
you
okay,
and
gotcha.
then when you research about World War One, they signed a peace treaty like 2 days before, so they wanted to make it like more ceremonial. So why not have the 11th day of the that narrative, right? So it sticks
Yeah,
into people's heads
yeah.
because it's simpler. So those 2 days, those two extra days that
Theatrics.
they could have stopped it, they continued fighting. So tens of thousands have died for literally nothing. You
Yeah,
don't want to
it's a
say
theme.
that out loud, but
It's a theme.
it's there.
Seems like
It
there's
unfortunately.
definitely a theme with a lot of different countries. Anyways, just so we don't get too much off topic here, um, religion, right? You look into the history of religion, and a lot of it has to do with sacrifice, animal sacrifice, sacrifice of people,
Yeah.
and why specifically is it either the pure-hearted, right, when it comes to virgin sacrifices or sacrifices of children? Why is it that is always the case?
It's pure essence. Their soul is like glowing. It looks like a bowl of light,
Right, but
and
why that?
because
According,
it's powerful magic.
okay, I,
You know, if you want to
wasn't
sacrifice
the
a whole,
wasn't the Egyptians who created the idea of magic, or um what is it? What is the other, alchemy? Right? Wasn't the
in a way,
Egyptians that come up with that?
yeah, in a matter of speaking, but it's like lost technology now.
Right. But why specifically does it have to do with virgin? Because and virgin girls specifically. Why specifically virgin girls or young children who are perceived innocent of some kind?
Well, I mean,
That's what I
like
would like to know.
like I could like indicate you correlations, right?
Right.
For instance, like a virgin girl, like the first mate that she's gonna have, she's gonna pair bond with him so tight that they're gonna be like fucking gorilla glued together. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So like there is this like spiritual essence that's like very fucking strong.
Hmm.
And you could say it's biology and whatnot, but like, some women have that capability where they just don't give a fuck.
What
And
I
then,
what I'm assuming is that depending on the culture, whichever culture worships whichever god, right? They're going to perceive that
right,
god to be so divine, so pure that the only thing that they would really want as a sacrifice is something that is just as pure, right? Or remotely close to being pure. So that's what I'm, because we do, yes, by
and
what
I,
you're saying there actually really correlates to what I'm saying as well, right? Because we view purity in that sense, right? And we value it so much that we then give that up for the God then blesses us with rain or the destruction of our enemies, or what's
which we now know in hindsight that it's all a fluke.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, we have weather modifying capabilities with what did they do?
Oh, uh
HARP.
oh really?
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, I'll show you.
After that, I kind of want to take us into Second Kings 3, because not a lot of people know about this one. And this is actually really good research for you guys who are watching now. There's
Well,
a um go ahead.
no, no, no. I was gonna say, like, what did you mean by that? And you were gonna already like glide yourself in. So
So
I was
there,
just anticipating what you were gonna say. Sorry,
I want to
please.
say in the 1848, I think there was a discovery of a stele, right? It's called the Moabite stone. This was an artifact that was left behind by the Moabites, who actually recorded, King Mesha himself recorded his conflict between Moab and Israel. I want to say, oh man, when was it was some BC. Let's see, when was the Moabite? Hang on. This might be a little bit better. Mesha and I
And send me.
because I can't remember, when. Okay, so ninth century BCE. Okay, so almost 1,000 years before the first century. Okay, so
Huh.
this stele has been around for thousands of years, right? And what's recorded on this stele, unfortunately, we don't have most of the stele because sheikhs decided they wanted to extort everyone else, as they usually do, and destroyed quite a bit of it. Now we still have most of the steel from the squeeze and the pieces that we were able to put together for the steel, but
Right on.
um, this conflict was recorded on that stone, right? And King Mesha is declaring his victories over Israel. The thing is, if you look into Second Kings 3 actually records that very same conflict, right? But here's something that's very interesting about that is that uh, Israel records the conflict the same way that Moab does, right? But the thing is that it doesn't go any deeper. It just says that if you want to go ahead and pull up Bible Gateway real quick and go into 2 Kings 3 for me.
Uh,
Let me go ahead and expand this. So 2 Kings 3, right? It is no,
Wait.
you're gonna have to type in you're gonna have to type in the little number. Second 2 Kings 3.
Like this?
Yeah. hmm
Uh huh.
I believe you're
Okay.
gonna scroll all the way down. Okay, so when the king of Moab saw the battle had gone against him, he took with him 700 swordmen to break through the king of Edom, but they failed. Then he took his firstborn son, right, his firstborn son, and then sacrificed him to Chemosh. Okay. Um, let's see. I was his king and offered him a sacrifice on the city, because if you also look into the steel also mentions, I believe, him sacrificing his son to Chemosh.
Hmm.
Um, I may be hearing that wrong, or I may be remembering wrong because it's been a little bit since I looked at the steel. But here's something to note: the fury against Israel was great. They withdrew and returned to their own land. Okay, so what that means is that Israel withdrew and returned to their own land. Right. What is not recorded is that Mesha then talks about, if you want to go ahead and open up another tab and then look into the Moabite steel transcript.
Oh.
You can probably just click on the first.
Mesha steel is a basalt stone dating in the 9th century BCE. Oh, here's the lines.
Yeah, just go click on that first no, on the first address below the AI overview. Yeah. Um okay, I don't know if it goes into the does it go into the transcript itself?
What do you want me to find?
Okay, that would be hard to. All right, go back. Go
Okay.
go go back to your browser. Okay. Let's see. What does the steel say? Click on that there. No, no. Yeah. Okay. I think that is it. All right, there we go.
Oh,
There we go. Because I wanted to pull up line for line. Okay.
okay.
So, installed it before Chemosh in my capital. I settled there the men of Sharon, the men of Marat said, go take Nebo from Israel. Um, I went in the night, fought. So he's talking. Mesha is talking about conquering city from city, or city to city, right?
Hmm.
From Israel, right? That's what isn't recorded in 2 Kings 3, right? So if you also look into 2 Kings 3, a little, believe at the beginning of the passage, it talks about Elisha's interaction, who was the successor of Elijah. Elisha's interaction with the kings of Israel, and they are going. They're talking about getting into conflict with Moab, and they they're asking, God if they're going to be successful or not. And Elisha tells them that they're going to take every single fortified city, right? And so they almost do that, but they come to the city of the fortified city of it's what is it? The Kerr, I think. Is it Kerr? I can't remember if it's Kerr or not.
Your guess is as good as mine. Kerr, right here.
Kerr. Yeah, that's
Maybe.
right. Yeah, Kerr. Yeah, the city of Kerr, and that's when Mesha had sacrificed his son to Chemosh, and then they began to lose the battle, and was forced to retreat, and that's when Mesha was taking over from Israel, right? So you look at all these different things, and it all really makes sense, right? That you were talking about superstition, right?
Yeah.
And yes, absolutely. But what I will also say too is that through my own personal experiences, I have also seen some things that would blow your mind.
Oh, like entities like beyond this realm,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. No, I know
Oh yeah.
they exist.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they
Oh yeah.
pass through what looks to be clouds in a different dimension or realm. That is just
Hmm.
it's weird.
Yeah, it's pretty weird.
You know,
But
there are unexplainable events that will happen in everyone's life that you will hold on to and be like, I can't share this with anyone. They'll think I'm crazy.
what's really interesting is that every single time I told my story to my mother, she would always treat me as if I was,
Mm,
you know. So I always thought that was very interesting. But
yeah.
um, I know for a fact I'm not insane. I'm not crazy. So it would have to be one really conclusion, right? Because you don't just see a door slam the hardest as if you slammed it shut yourself for no
Mm,
reason, right?
right.
So
It could be the wind, but if there is all the windows closed and it still does that, you can't say it's gravity.
no, no, no. When I was I'll just say when I was younger, when I was a kid, went to go and stay with my aunt Tommy for a while, right? It would be at least every weekend or every other weekend at least. And there was this time when my brother and I saw the door slam to one of the rooms that we were sleeping in,
Yeah.
and we went to go investigate. We saw that the windows were open, but they were maybe 25% open, right? Just a quarter. Not nearly enough for the door to catch a draft to slam that hard. But then the door was also leaning up against the wall, right? So
Uh
there's
huh.
no way a draft could have caught that door. No way.
Interesting.
What's also interesting to note is that my Aunt Tommy, her father passed away in the house. So there you go.
That'll do it.
Yeah.
That'll do it right there. Because when a person dies and they don't accept, the proposition that's out there, their soul lingers into this reality because they are slowly trying to cope.
Hmm. Now that's when we start talking about a purgatory kind of existence, right? And I definitely believe that purgatory is made up for sure. However, through. I mean, you can get into all kinds of debates on whether this is fabricated or not, but I definitely think there's this understanding, at least somewhat, about the afterlife. Now, you could either say, and this is where we get into different debates on whether it's an entity of the person who actually passed away and is trying to find heaven through maybe letting go, or it is some demonic entity, right?
Yeah, yeah, because that's different.
Or whatever entity. Yeah. So I say purgatory is made up because the church literally made it up.
Okay.
In the early years of the church, what they would do is they would keep the Bible for themselves, right? And only the monks, priests, preachers would only have access to it.
Yeah.
And so with the early church, a lot of church goers didn't really know a lot of what to expect when it comes to the doctrine being taught, right?
Right.
So the whole idea of this was extortion. That's exactly what the church did, because then they would convince the followers to pay the church for salvation. I mean, they didn't know, they didn't have access to the Bible until the printing press, right?
Essentially.
And so, of course, they would pay the church for salvation, right? And then
Yeah.
they would also pay to get their loved ones out of purgatory.
But isn't purgatory in essence just a state of mind? So if you want to pay your way out of purgatory, your depression, you come and you meet me, a father of Christ, right? And then I will help you out with my mysticism.
Well,
Hmm.
that is um it would really depend, right? Because praying to a saint that will then pray to Jesus, which wasn't even really his name to begin with, that's very big when it comes to the Catholic belief,
Right.
right? And so there's also this argument that when you're praying to Mother Mary or Saint John, Saint Peter, whoever, a saint, then you're not exactly praying to the entity that you're thinking that you're praying to, right? So, hey, real quick, guys, is my audio doing fine? Am I too loud? Am I too quiet? I want to make sure that my audio is okay, because I actually had to turn it up last stream for ARC and stuff. So, anyways, um, yeah. So when every what I've come to find out is that every it all goes back to culture, right? But as we've
Yeah, bottom line.
become as we've become more civilized, right? We've evolved more as a species. Our religions have changed, right? They've molded, right?
Yes.
That's why you didn't see Scientology until literally the turn of this century. Not the 21st century, but the 20th century.
And there's a lot of parallels to what you were talking about the early Christian doctrine, like the Bible's not being distributed to its followers. The same thing like Scientology. The deep stuff that the South Park episode like revealed to what Scientologists actually believe. Most of them had no idea this was true.
Hmm.
Like Xenu and like their souls are gonna be transported into a spaceship and na.
Oh yeah,
That whole
yeah.
episode, it was actually high level Scientology that the most part of all the practitioners and followers at the lower levels had no idea of.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Who was the
again,
leader of that cult? Because I think he actually convinced a
L.
number
Ron
of.
Hubbard.
Oh, him, because he's the guy who convinced so many people to commit unaliving, right?
W- Well, I mean, like, he was a very good novelist. So he had his fan base.
Ah, okay, yeah,
So then there you go. You already have a dedicated follower, like, to use. Out of the 10,000 that bought your books, you could just get 5,000, maybe two, and then you could just start your own thing slowly from there.
right,
You know, create
right,
an MLM style, like,
yeah, yeah, essentially,
like, come and I'll help you out, baby. No matter what, it's okay. Only for $3.99. Sign here, and then it turns into $12.99, and then
yeah. Then
part of
eight,
your soul.
then $8.99 and some Kool Aid. Um,
Ah, yeah,
so
yeah.
uh,
No, but see, but like that's the People's Temple you're talking about now, the Jonestown.
oh
That's a
yeah,
different cult.
oh is it is it?
Yeah, like Scientology is not this. It's a different thing. The People's Temple. That's the one where they were in Jonestown. I
Ah,
think it was
that's right,
like
and
in
people.
South America and or Central
Oh
America,
yeah,
and
and
they
they took a bunch of
Kool Aid and it was
Kool-Aid.
cyanide laced.
Yeah, right. That's right.
Like over 900 people died.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So
I remember that one. Yeah, that one was bad.
and then you get into that cult leader and his ties to the CIA, and then oh my gosh, it's another rabbit hole.
Well, that is another rabbit hole, but we'll go down that we'll go down that road in another episode. Um,
Absolutely.
but back to the history of religion. Um, we always see a a god or goddess for fertility, god or goddess for war, god or goddess for beauty. The sun, the sun's a really big one, right? Um, and it all has to do with again, as we all have been hitting this topic or this point is culture, right? Why and I guess you can really kind of break things down super easy when you think about it, because I mean what do you need the sun for, right? To get up and go to work, right? What do you need fertility for? Well, the progression of species, right? We want our we want our women fertile, right? We want to have children and stuff. But war, right? Why do we fight wars?
Hmm. Well, it's the same reason why we sacrifice virgins. It's to shed off the fat of society.
I think that's one reason.
I
That's
hate to
one of
break it
many.
to most people, but if you want to manage a society, you don't need all the men because a lot of the men cause a lot of the problems. And you want to make it fun and engaging for them to just voluntarily go and die. So, what do? You start a war. You see?
Well, it's not it's not just the placeholder for men that is an issue. It is
Hmm.
men who cannot control themselves. That is what the issue is, right?
Right, but if you have an itchy trigger finger and you have uncontrollable adrenaline, oh, the military's for you. By golly, you'll be running all the fucking time.
Right. Right.
You'll be lifting all the fucking time. We have a lot of work for you. Don't worry.
So then religion is the easiest way to convince these guys to go out and do, you know,
Because what they
what the
will do
state
in
wants
their
them to do.
actions in a battlefield will be biblical.
Right.
You will be remembered with your legacy of sacrifice. See these big words, bro?
Yeah.
Already, even me, I'm getting infatuated by myself. Imagine,
Right. So
well, you know. So
that's why we revere people like Caesar, uh, like um uh who Gilgamesh, right?
mhm.
Um,
Yeah,
like all of these big figures who are great in one facet or another, right?
right.
So, um, I guess it all just comes back to exactly what we were talking about at the beginning. Whatever society, or I would say the powers that be, in whatever society demands, they're going to use whatever tools that they can. So then, religion is oftentimes the easiest to use, right?
It's like a glue that keeps like everything like holding together. It's
Yeah.
like it's if you want to like the the section of how in society would be a school, like
Hmm.
how to think, how to build this, how to calculate math. It would be a school. The why would be religion. Why are we here? Why are we doing this?
Right.
Why why all of this? Well, woo. I'll tell you why.
Well, we had
A
great men.
2,000-year-old book and all of that shebang,
We had
pizzazz
we
and
we had great men like Socrates that would explain things, right?
yeah.
Instead of saying, well, God or goddess does this or that, let's see if we can try and explain this rationally through
Yeah, I
what our
think.
eyes can see.
Well, it's even deeper than what our eyes could see. It's all of our senses and our cognitive like imagination put together.
Right.
And
Yeah.
just fusing that into like making a fucking margarita inside of your head and like pop out, see what comes out, like maybe it's this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Try it
Because
out as a drink,
because we don't
you know?
understand it, we then begin to fabricate stories, right? And things
Essentially.
that aren't necessarily there to explain the things that we see around us, and people follow it, right? I think oftentimes you see a specific dynamic when it comes to households, when it comes to society at large. There's a specific thing. There's a specific way that really things work, and a lot of people who have created these religions really understood that,
Mm,
right? That's why Solomon talks a lot about, the man being on the roof because living with uh um a loud obnoxious wife is you know it's better to live on the roof, right?
yeah. Yeah.
So there
Absolutely.
religion people who have invented their separate religions really understood this, and you really see the reflection of that throughout the ages. um so but what's really interesting to me is that things, because this goes back to the evolution of religions, as I was talking about earlier. um
Okay.
Gods change, right? Because when as pastoral peoples, moving through steps, we began to create pantheons and um, multiple gods or goddesses for different reasons. And
Right.
then I don't believe there's necessarily a monotheism, right? Because when it comes to monotheism, then there is just one God, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, it could be the one programmer that encoded this whole universe,
Yeah,
like
right.
the Matrix. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
it could still work, but you're talking about like one person that actually like encompasses all of the religions together. No,
Well,
because it's all different
no,
flavors.
I'm just talking about religions making. I'm talking about history here.
Okay.
How cultures of the ancient world would make monotheism, right?
Uh-huh.
Because
So like,
it wasn't until the Israelites that monotheism, came about. And still, even when it comes to Judaism or Christianity or even Islam,
yeah.
those are still polytheistic religions, right?
Yeah.
Because breaking down, right, there's always one thing that is pretty similar throughout even the evolution of different religions. You think about the idea of a father god, a mother god, or spirit god, in case we're talking about Christianity here, or and a sun
Right.
god, right? There's always this idea of a sun god, right? So, um, that's one thing that doesn't really change, because if we're talking about Islam too, then we're talking about jinns as well, and jinns are different spirits, and oftentimes Muslims do pray to jinns, right?
Yeah.
So that is still that's still the same. So you think about this evolution, right? And there's always, even as we were talking about sacrifice earlier, um, people still believe in drinking the blood, and drinking and eating the bread, right, the flesh.
Yeah.
There's still this animalistic kind of behavior when it comes to religion, right? And this is why
Yeah.
I say that religion and cults are often one and the same, right? Interchangeable, yeah, they are. Because by dictionary, they mean the same thing. It's just one word sounds pretty and the other word sounds ugly, right?
Well, another comedian, I forget who says it, but he basically said a cult is the savior that's alive, and a religion, the guy died.
Hmm, interesting.
You
I'd
know?
like to know the
So
meaning of that. What does that mean?
so like a cult, you see your savior, he's right there leading you, he's alive, and a religion is just the aftermath of him dying. So the Messiah that they all worship, the cult, he's dead, and then the religion is like the second or third generation afterwards that just follows the teachings while he was still alive and what he was doing, for the next generation and so on. So like the way that I think of like religion and cults and all that is just basically a bunch of people creating a boss ass record, and they play it for each generation that like comes about in life. So like every 15 years or so they replay the same record. And like some songs are like, "Oh shit, maybe we should change this so that it fits with what our society needs like for now." You know what I mean? So that's why like even Christianity over the years it became malleable with its different sects, right?
Mhm.
So
Okay. Yeah.
with the culture it also demands some adjustments like with problems that we deal with from time to time that just pops up because mother nature, what do you want to do?
Yeah.
It's either you adapt or die.
True. True. But
So that's why it's the
we didn't
paradox.
really have this understanding
Yeah, but
some number of
that's where
years
the
ago.
paradox is of like religion being concrete. It's never concrete. It cannot be concrete.
Right.
It seems like structurally sophisticated, but the building moves
Right. Yeah.
depending on the situation. So
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right.
you just got to have the patience to accept that because a lot of people don't like change. There's some people that are like it's super stern the way it has to be forever and ever because it was written. And you could forget that,
Hmm.
Archbishop could be like, yeah, could we just change that? Okay, no problem. We'll pass it. It's not a big deal.
Right. We're seeing that today with a lot of Christian pastors who are flip flopping on almost everything, and then to for the strict part, that you were talking about, saw that in the first century with the Pharisees. I mean, possibly even before then, right? Because as they were strictly just Torah.
Right.
Um, and then you also had other cultures, the Sumerian cultures, who did that same thing through the Code of Hammurabi, right?
Uh-huh.
So pretty much when it comes to the history of religion, uh, where we
And
really began everything, or where everything kind of really began, was both what I believe Hindu and the Samaritan culture, or the Sumerian cultures, or the Sumer cultures.
I would say even the ancient Egyptians.
Right, yeah, but the
But like the ancient, not just ancient.
right, yeah, but I think Egyptians date back to what, 3-4 thousand years, I think.
Longer than that.
Oh, really?
The carbon date of the Sphinx was way older than that.
Was that
Okay, well maybe
75?
maybe
Is that 7,500
two th-
BC?
no 2005. That's what it says, but I remember seeing it a lot older than that somewhere else, like 5,000.
Okay.
So it could be 7,000 years ago.
Yeah. Okay. I do know
Right.
that uh okay. It very well could be, right? Cuz I can't remember exactly when papyrus was invented, but that was the first paper, and I think beforehand they were writing down on maybe buffalo skin or sheepskin or something like that. But animal skin they were writing down, or stone tablets,
Yeah.
as I was talking about with the steel, right?
Yeah.
Um, so, but the first really recorded, maybe stories or something like that, would be from the Fertile Crescent, Mesopotamia itself, right? And
Mm.
or at least my understanding, maybe could be that would be maybe in competition with other religions such as Hinduism or Buddhism or maybe Taoism, but um, and then of course the Egyptian religions as well, but or the Egyptian religion, but
Right.
they all really began to emerge, or at least the oldest recordings, you know, 4,000 plus years ago, and um, what's really interesting to note, and this is why I say that the the big three, the three big religions all came from Sumer, all of them did, right? Because the very patriarch of all of the Abrahamic religions, that's why he's the patriarch. Abraham came from Mesopotamia, right? The city of Ur is one of the capitals of Sumer, right? And through that, there's also talk about Egypt and stuff like that. So that's why I say that there's quite a bit of competition for the oldest, perhaps with Egypt and the other countries there. Um, but as far religion goes far back beyond that. But
Way beyond that.
oh yeah,
Way beyond that.
oh yeah, oh yeah,
Because we're going off of things that we've actually discovered, or that is like basically just discovered, right?
right.
And we know that humans have been around for 600,000 years.
300,000 years. That's the consensus. But there was a tool that was found that they dated back to 700,000 years.
That's what
So
I'm saying.
could be
We're
around that area.
we're starting to see that we've been around for a very long time.
Very long time.
So,
Yeah.
man-made structures
But how
and,
long has our genus specifically been around for, right? How many
yeah.
thousands, potentially hundreds of thousands of years have our
Well,
genus specifically been around?
because there is a if you ever notice that there is like the timeline of different the Homo sapien, Homo habilis, Homo erectus, right? You the Neanderthals, like there was this picture that I saw. I'm gonna see if I can pull it up, where you see that the other humanoids that were existing on this planet were still there,
Yeah, you had
but
the
ever since,
Denisovans.
yeah,
You had other species as well. I believe there were other not species. There were other genuses that were legitimately considered giants.
yeah,
So it wasn't until after some time after the Homo habilis that Homo sapiens came about.
yeah, and then
So
when we appeared on the map, they all got extinct except for us.
yeah, yeah.
Which is weird if you ask me. No, but it's like all suddenly at the same time. That's what I'm trying to find right now.
Well, what happened is that over time we had either interbreeded with them or we had killed them all off. Right. That's why we have
That scares the
deformities.
shit out of me. That second suggestion, that scares the shit out of me because
What
that means that
that
we killed them all off.
yeah. Why
So that means
why does
there's,
that scare you?
well, that means like that. Well, what is a genocide? So
Oh,
a
well,
genocide is like an extinction of just a country or a group of people, but now we're doing it with species, essentially.
genus,
Yeah,
right?
kind of like eugenics.
Well,
Well,
yeah.
it's going back,
Yeah.
man. It's dirty shit.
It's
Ooh,
all
it's
going
bad
back to
business.
culture. It always comes back to culture.
Yeah.
Always
But
comes back
what's
to
the
culture.
shortened version of a culture? Like you take culture, but you just take the,
Oh, cult? Are you talking about cult?
isn't it weird?
That's
How,
interesting.
okay.
It's pretty
I don't
interesting.
know. I don't know, man.
Okay.
But
I see what you're saying. I see where you're getting at there. Yeah, I see where you're getting at.
so I think it's this. Yeah, see, look, all of these different types of humanoids that existed, the Homo erectus, Homo ergaster, Homo heidelberg, and then there's the Neanderthals right here, there's the habilis. They've all existed approximately within the same time, and then Homo sapiens just dominated.
Yeah.
And this is over a period of millions of years, not just hundreds of thousands. It's millions.
Right.
5 million years ago, 4 million. And this is what we know so far.
Right. Yeah.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So, has the Great Flood happened? I think it did. I don't think it's just a story.
Mm-hmm. There are multiple cultures that record the flood, right?
And it
I
wiped out a lot of shit.
I would say again, this brings us back to Sumer because the Epic of Gilgamesh, right, with the story of Enlil flooding the earth, that's recorded. Then you also talk. Then we're also talking about the Torah, right, which is also the first 5 books of the Christian Bible. For those of you who are Christian and may not know that, um, and Genesis, which wasn't really written, more than likely it was passed down orally until there was a consensus saying that Moses had wrote it, but there's really no confirmation, um, other than what Yeshua or Yehoshua said in the first century about Moses writing about him, right? Writing about him. So that and Moses, uh, I should say that, uh, yeah, Moses came, what, 300-400 years after the, I think, the Code of Hammurabi, or you could say that the Sinai Code, right, the laws of Moses,
Hmm.
came several hundred years after the Sinai Code, which was predominantly in Sumer, right? Which was it came from King Hammurabi, who was in control of one of the cities. I can't remember if he controlled Ur or not. I don't think so. Um, but uh, maybe it was Uruk. I can't remember. But anyways, you have the Norse, who they date back to, I want to say, like 2 or 3 thousand years.
Something like that.
I want to say like maybe what, 35 BCE or
Yeah.
3500 BCE. I think somewhere around in there.
Yeah.
But
But it was very disorganized.
yeah, they were mainly just nomadic Germanic tribes.
That slept on the side of trees. They didn't even have houses. To them in their culture, it's just like you want to be a real man, you sleep in the woods and you don't make encampment. You let the rain go on you.
I don't know much about
You know
that.
what I mean? Oh yeah, yeah. Well, that's just like one of their tropes, but it's like you wonder how they got the moniker of barbarian.
Hmm. Oh
That's what
yeah,
it is.
yeah, that's true.
And in a way, they did that to toughen themselves and to procure the more testosterone like in men and then reproduce with them to create that mutation. So in a weird way, they're making their own people stronger generationally without them actually realizing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No, I
And
mean, it
it's
makes
weird
perfect
how
sense.
it's weird how they were all disorganized doing this and they all were in sync doing it over time. That's why like the Norse people they managed to go all the way to North America and make encampments,
Hmm.
which is wild to me.
Yeah, that, thinking about how that voyage, could have went, especially with how oceans are. Yeah, that's a pretty miraculous feat.
You got to be tough.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Um,
Ev-
but you
Even the
had,
Spanish, the conquistadors, they were tough soldiers too.
oh yeah,
You know
100%.
what I mean? So testosterone plays a big part into being an expeditionary force.
Right.
The higher the testosterone, the more courage.
Or just the warrior class in general. Yeah. That's
Absolutely.
why predominantly men have been warriors.
Yeah.
Men are expendable, but men also have, you know, higher lung capacity, bone density, muscle mass over women. And that's just biology. Anyways, yeah, there multiple or multiple countries, multiple cultures record their own flood story, right? That's why I
Yeah.
brought up the Norse, because the Norse recorded too. The Babylonian, did the Babylonians record it? Because I mean, the
I think so.
Babylon was in Mesopotamia too. Um, but you have multiple, excuse me, you have multiple cultures that record the flood. So, but they all say different things, right? Different reasons as to why the a flood happened, right? But one thing that I find very interesting is the fact that when I looked into the story of the flood, it pretty closely confirms the story of Genesis, because there was an actual fossilized boat that was found in the mountains of Ararat, where Genesis said that
Yeah.
a boat would be, right? And they did further analysis on it, right? And they found fossilized dung, and they also found rods, iron rods, in the boat. So it could very well possibly be that maybe the account in Genesis is correct. Could be. But so far, that's the only evidence that we've found that would confirm any kind of flood myth. Because we're not finding a giant snake. We're not finding a
But
giant snake that can that can reach across the entire world and eat its own tail. So, um, and we're also not finding a giant serpent. Or we're not finding Enlil. So, you know,
that's also true. That I could agree with you, but there is geological discoveries of mountainsides where water shouldn't be there, but yet there is like wave patterns that have been found.
yeah.
I forget which country it is. I think it's in the United States or Canada, but
They also found sea life, fossils of sea life on mountains,
which is weird.
which is yeah, which is pretty weird.
And just like at Mount Everest, like the great places to preserve dead bodies is in the top of mountains.
Oh yeah.
Because in Everest, like the way they create landmarks at the tip, they use
Mhm.
like the dead bodies of like past explorers that didn't make it.
Yep. Green boots. I remember. Yeah.
So, to
So
find
what's
sea
interesting
life up there is crazy.
here's something interesting though is that of course we understand how tectonic plates work, right? We understand that that land shifts, right? Because
Hmm.
we can think it to the um Jurassic era, and so on and so forth. How the Earth used to be one land mass, right? Pangea, and then over millions of years, it kind of just shifted into different positions, right? So it could be that over the course of those millions of years, that fossilized life were perhaps in the depths of the ocean at a point in time, but through the tectonic shifts, could have brought that above sea level. Could be that, right? And
Hmm.
as things happen, just as slow over time, they can happen as just as fast as well. With the example of Mount St. Helens, right? How one volcano exploded essentially sideways and created multiple layers of ash, of volcanic, residue of some kind. Um, so it could be a number of things. Could be a number of things we don't really know, and I don't think we'll ever really be able to find out. But we've always used religion to explain the things that we couldn't explain,
Yeah.
right? And so, um, I think,
But you gotta understand, right? Like to have, because these are heavy topics that we're talking about. Not a lot of people can handle this.
right.
So like that's where you have to have a little bit of patience and grace with people, and to understand their disposition in life, because not everyone is sound of mind all the time.
Right.
Some people go through shit and it's just their brains are rattled with like a ton of problems they have to solve.
Mm-hmm.
So especially dealing with a topic such as this, where you have to be like in tune with yourself to have a rational conversation and discussion about it, it does get overwhelming for some people, and you just got to respect that at least they're giving an effort instead of being a complete piece of shit.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
At least they're trying to improve themselves. That
Yep.
that
Mm-hmm.
to me, I'll give more respect to that than someone just stealing,
Right.
you know? So, uh with this specific topic in mind, I do want to also say, because like I said in the beginning, like I'm a student of life. I love learning about all different cultures, all different religions, all different backgrounds, because it's like going to get an ice cream cone. It's different flavors, man. It's just different perspectives. And sometimes when you think it's your enemy that you're talking to, a fellow human being, they've seen different things that you've never seen before. And it could be a different lesson that instead of you learning the hard way, it's them sharing that knowledge with you so you don't reenact that same mistake.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
And then pride could get into the way of that and say, well, my God's better than your God. Okay?
Right. Yeah.
And that's where that imbalance comes in. The rift of, you know, human decency goes out the window and war begins out of disrespect. Right? So
Yeah.
it's the usual song and dance.
Yeah.
That's why war, pestilence, wrath, these are concepts that like religion also dives into and makes it like holier than thou, because it's very important for us to remind ourselves that our emotions are very powerful tools,
Yeah.
you
They
know,
are.
and if we mistreat it and if we're irresponsible with our emotions, we can make terrible decisions that can implicate a lot of innocent lives for no reason.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So
This kind of speaks to the Salem witch trials a lot, actually.
yes,
Right?
yes,
How
it
spectral
turns out that it was
evidence. Yeah. How people were. How literally just one girl was literally just blaming people,
oh yeah,
for
left, right, and center.
nothing. Well, I know,
Yeah,
I
but
know, I think it was, it wasn't just one girl. I think it was like two or three of them, weren't there?
yeah, but it was the town going like all crazy too, because like they had democracy at the time and they're all voting for these women to be sacrificed, you know, or
Well,
to be
not
like, you know,
not not sacrificed. Uh they were
deemed as a witch.
convicted as witches. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So, what do you do with witches? Do you burn them at the stake?
Well, you first test them to see if they are a witch, right? And if you burn them at the stake and they're able to recite recite a single verse from the Bible, then they're not a witch, but they're already burned to death anyways. Or either that or suffer from permanent scars. Um, but if they
Yeah.
can't finish it, then they're a witch. It's definitely not because of the pain, or the disfigurement, but it's definitely because they're a witch. Yeah, that's right.
But you
So
have to understand at that time too, we didn't understand like yeast and bread and how that can turn into a fungus that would be as potent as an hallucinogenic as mushrooms.
right.
So the townsfolk basically had to deal with bad bread that made them almost paranoid schizophrenics for a good time.
Oh, that
So that
that I
could have
didn't
had an
know.
influence of that too. Yeah.
That I didn't know about. That's interesting.
So it's just something else to think about. It's just a different perspective to why all of a sudden, all of a town was going against these two or three people, women, and calling them witches. Strange,
Yeah, yeah.
you know?
Another thing I think about too is the conflicts between, you can say, Israel and or the Israelites and the other ites, the other Amorites, the Hittites, the Moabites, specifically the Amorites, right, where God tells the sons of Israel or the children of Israel uh, that they can essentially go into these lands, right, and eradicate the men, women, and children, um, because they are sacrificing their children to Kamosh or Moloch or whatever. Um, clashes of culture, right?
Mm.
Since we're talking about disagreements with morality, right, and how uh, when people have a such a profound difference that creates conflict. And just thinking of a couple of instances of that. Same thing for you could say when Rome pretty much destroyed the Second Temple, and then you can also think about the 400 years of Muslim aggression, and then you can also think about Christians when Christianity began, right? How they were doing their thing by forcing Jews to eat pork, and then you can also say with the Norse constantly invading and pillaging, graping, right? Um, just it's the never ending cycle. Um, what's going on, Nate? How you doing, brother? A little late. Um, but we were late too. We were supposed to start at 6, and we almost started almost an hour late. So, um,
Yeah, we were fashionably late.
better be late than never at all, right? So, we're
This
we're
is true.
we're having a very interesting topic to talk about tonight, Nate. I'm glad you could join us. So, uh, but yeah, yeah. Again, it all comes back to culture. It always comes back to culture. Uh,
Essentially.
so, but uh, I was focused on making my. Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot you were making a game, dude. You should upload some videos, man, and send me some links. That'd be dope.
What kind of game is he making?
I think you're making like a horror kind of game, right?
Is it like one of those PS1 horror games that's coming out like these days? There's this new genre that's coming out now where it's like a PS1 like style like video game where like a lot of indie projects are using that style and they're making like psychological horrors out of it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yes, but I'll have to save it for later. Okay. Okay. Well, dude, I'm excited for that, man. I would love to see how that turns out. Um, but yeah, so the uh polytheism eventually merged into, monotheism, but it still was polytheism, right? Because even if you look at Judaism, Judaism is still polytheistic, right? Because God could be anything, right? God is an angel, a spirit, you know. Even in one of Abraham's accounts, he still comes as what? I think it was what two different angels, right? When Abraham or when God appears before Abraham and Sarah,
I'm sure it was two, if I
I think it
remember
was two different
correctly.
angels. Let's see. Also a G Tag fan game. Okay, which is a gorilla. Oh, dope. Right on, man. But and then and then he appears as a man. He appears as a burning bush. He appears as everything, right? Well, not everything, but multiple things. And then you also have um, Christianity, who also talks about a father god, a son god, right? I mean, matter of fact, Judaism talks about this as well, a son god as well, right? In Isaiah 5 or Isaiah 9, I think. So you have Judaism talks about this as well. So you have a lot of different things that or a lot of different cultures, excuse me, that use the same kind of explanation or use the same kind of, I guess you could say, type of religion, right? So, um, mostly going to have to focus on payment stuff, cosmetics, more maps. Okay. Oh yeah, don't even talk to me about coding, bro. Coding sucks. Um, but it's just it's the, I guess you could say, maybe the doctrine or the kind of morality in religion that kind of evolves, because during the pastoral people's era, was animal sacrifice, killing of whoever, whatever, right, that would benefit the tribe or maybe the city state of that time, right? And
And
then,
appease the masses.
right, right, or put them at ease or whatever, or have some kind of control over the masses, right? And eventually we saw, animal sacrifice, people sacrifice kind of phased out, right? As we began to understand life from a different perspective, right? Became more civilized. But the sacrifice was still there. We just weren't really, stabbing people in the hearts, on top of a ziggurat, you know?
The thing
So
is that the civility that we have today came from a lot of pain and sacrifice, man.
that's true.
A
That's true.
lot. Like Europe compared to Africa, Africa looks like paradise. There's only two seasons. It either rains or it's sunshine. There's no winter or fall. Or like
Are you
you
talking
don't
about
have.
weather wise, or are you talking about
Yeah, I'm
culture
talking about
wise?
weather-wise.
Oh,
So what I'm saying is that hardship creates hard people.
right.
And with that hardness, you learn to just be a little bit more patient and,
Well,
a little bit skeptical, and you
what
second guess and you think and,
what
you
thousands
know,
of that thousands of Christians are also being murdered by aggressive Muslims in Africa
right,
too, right?
which
So
is horrible.
yeah,
But I mean, this is a
massive
story as
horrible.
old as time.
Right. That is true. That
When
is
when
true.
this when the Bolsheviks took over in Russia in the 19, I would say 1917, when Russia fell, the empire, and it was replaced by the Bolshevik Party. A lot of Christians died there too. So it's just a shame, but like, uh, I mean, people die all the time. The gist of it. But what
Hmm.
I was trying to say before, my earlier point is that in Africa compared to Europe, because Europe has harsh winters too, and if you're
Hmm.
not prepared, you are gonna die in the cold. Africa doesn't have that problem.
Right. But where does that relate to religion?
So the way that it relates is that religion starts to talk about encompassing faith in a greater divine being, that in order for him to protect us, we have to protect ourselves.
Hmm.
So it creates those sets of doctrines that it's, again, holier than thou, that is brought upon to us this sacred knowledge for us to store logs, to be organized, for, to like, hey, if you need something, I'll help you because we're part of the same tribe, the same culture. And that hardship of the environment is going to create that compassion for us to distribute goods and deeds.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Preservation of self, therefore preservation of the tribe.
Exactly.
Right.
So that's where religion comes in. It infuses those disciplines into teaching this to people. And sometimes some people, it's really hard to teach people, but if you make it very, mystical and very entertaining, like religion does, then they're going to get the idea a lot easier.
Such as, you know, uh, old heaven and earth passing away and Armageddon story.
Basically,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
it
Hell, the topic of hell, right? The discussion of hell, because everyone is afraid. I would say the animal, right? The animal is afraid of suffering, right? 'Cause obviously, we don't really need to talk about why we don't like suffering, because we it's just we don't like to feel
it
pain.
sucks.
Yeah, it sucks, right? So then we look to, okay, well, we don't want to suffer, so we want pleasure, we want enjoyment, we want satisfaction out of the next life, and well, what's there? And that's heaven, right? So okay, so yeah, let's go, create following off of that, right? Through uh it's Brahman, right? Brahman for the Hindus, heaven for
Mm-hmm.
Christians,
Yeah.
inheriting the earth for Jews, and then also heaven for Muslims and whatnot. But um, and other cultures for sure. Unless you're talking about Mormons, then you get an entire different earth. So there's that. Um,
Yeah, that's a different tall tale there, but
right. Yeah. So it's pretty interesting. But yeah, you make a really good point there. You do. You make a pretty good
how
point.
like everything's just like it seems to correlate into that direction. As you see human history and how it evolves, so does the religions and cultures
Yeah.
around it,
Hmm.
you know,
Yeah.
especially influenced by the environment, also the time period, and also other factions and cultures that are intermingling with, each other
Right.
to form different conclusions.
Right. Yeah.
And as the strongest will survive, right, they
Hmm.
will pass down that knowledge. And sometimes the sad part is that the best knowledge sometimes gets forgotten,
That's true.
and then we rediscover it again the hard way again,
But again, nature, right? Nature. The fittest survives, right? So,
basically.
um, hey, buddy, Jay, can I have you leave?
Yeah, no worries.
Appreciate it, bud. Um, so, yeah, but yeah, that's it. That's exactly it. Um, so, well, I think we talked a lot about today. Um, I think there's just so much to talk about though.
Oh, but we could
Um,
go we could go for days,
oh yeah,
literally.
yeah. We could go on for a while. Let's see. How long have we? Um, okay, yeah. We've already been live for going on 3 hours now.
Oh,
So
3 hours.
almost, yeah, to 2 hours 38 minutes.
Okay.
So we talked about a lot. I think we could probably get into specific religions later on. I think we can kind of get into maybe our stories of how we got into religion and uh, how that kind of evolved for us. But I kind of wanted to talk about a little bit something a little bit more broad, you know.
Hmm.
But we could definitely come back to this topic
Look, man,
later on down the
religion
road.
or not, at the end of the day, we're all in this together.
Yeah, true.
So it's like from all walks of life. I don't care if you came from a tribe that only knew about sticks and stones, but I personally give everyone a chance,
Yeah,
no matter what. Okay, you could take that person and put him in our environment. 6 months, he's gonna be one of us.
true.
Not fully, but he'll be there. He'll understand, right?
Yeah,
Maybe not all of them, right? Evolution, right?
right.
There's some people that can carry on that type of knowledge and responsibility that we have, and even also other cultures looking at us as well, right? You even look at China. China's like that society in the Pacific there. They've been around for a long time. They've been fighting World War type battles before Europe had civilization there, period.
Yeah,
So, like I said, like we're still trying to understand ourselves because we're very complex creatures
we are.
individually and also within a group because we're like grasshoppers if you noticed. Grasshoppers alone by themselves, they're green and they're simple creatures. They just eat grass and it's fine and dandy. But you get 10 of them together, they turn into locusts. They repopulate so fucking quickly. They turn into a horde, and that it just becomes a cloud that just envelops everything in its path. From a simple grasshopper to that is pretty wild. And humans have that sort of, like thought process where like you just make 100 humans come together, you incubate them into a small space, they turn into a different culture, a different thought process, a different society completely, like literally overnight,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So it's just like that's where religion comes in and sets like
Precedent.
that a precedent for all of those to like, go away because there is a grander narrative for us all to follow. So sometimes religion is bad, sometimes religion is good. It all depends on how you look at it and like a tool, how you use it.
That's a good. I think that's probably the best way we could probably leave this talk off on. So that's a great way to end it. Well,
Right.
appreciate you, Mike, for coming back on, man. I'm definitely gonna have you back on. And if you guys would also
Well,
like to talk about this as well, just let us know. Let me know. I'll be happy to have you on.
absolutely, man.
So,
And hey, thanks for having me on, man. I really
of course,
appreciate it.
we're all here,
And
as you said, we're all here together to figure things out as we go.
absolutely. I'm no scientist. I'm not a smart guy at all. But like I said, I'm a student of life at the end of the day. Just trying to figure things out one problem at a time.
Exactly, brother.
As long as I'm here, you know.
All right. Well, just as my phone died.
Look at that timing.
Look at that timing. That is a good time
Chef's
to call
kiss.
it. Well, thanks so much, guys, for watching. Hopefully, you got some information out of this, and hopefully, this was a pretty interesting topic to have. I think it is because I always have a good time talking about religion. And look, this isn't to bash anyone's religion at all. Of course, we all have our own biases about religion, but at the end of the day, this is coming together to talk about uh, the truth of things, the the topic as a whole, to kind of understand it, right? Be students of life. So,
Yeah.
but all right,
Yeah.
alrighty, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't had any specific questions, just let us know, and we'll do the best that we can to answer those for you. But thanks so much for watching, guys. I love you all. You guys make sure you have a beautiful rest of your Monday. And I'll talk to you guys soon, guys. Bye.